All right, everyone. So I'm going to go over the rubrics for the second assignment. Just like similar to the first assignment, the page count should be anywhere between 5 to 8 pages. Make sure on the cover page that you include your first name and last name and whatever title you want to call your enterprise. Remember, this assignment is about, okay, how are we going to capitalize our idea of addressing a particular social issue by creating an enterprise that can generate revenue that supports our ability to service those individuals that are negatively impacted by the social issue that you've identified. All right, so this should not be a copy and paste of the first assignment. Now, make sure that each section is titled, for example, executive summary, and then the narrative, and then, statement of collaboration, then the narrative, social enterprise venture, and then the narrative. So this is for startups, and you're thinking about, how do I implement this? How do I think through this idea in a way that is that is done in a small scale, that doesn't cost me a lot of money, and allows me to see if the idea of the enterprise revenues with a paying market. Remember, your market that's going to pay for your product or service cannot be the same market that's being negatively impacted by the social issue that you've identified. It has to be a paying market. It may have to be a market outside of the community of where these individuals reside. So you have to think along those lines, right? And so let's go to the rubrics. So the first section is the executive summary. So what I want you to do in the executive summary is I want you to explain briefly, and many of you did this really good on the first assignment. So I want you to explain briefly the business model, the business canvas model, the business model canvas, and how it aligns with the social venture, and attach the business model canvas the same way that you uploaded the logic model for the same assignment. So you can either embed the business model canvas into your second assignment, or the easiest thing to do is to just attach it, upload it as a second upload, and name it, your name, business model canvas. And then explain the revenue analysis worksheet. Again, you'll have to upload that as well, and it'll be your name, revenue analysis worksheet. That way I can figure out what attachments belong to what. And your second assignment should be your name and second assignment. Yeah, your name and second assignment, second written assignment. Then it'll be your name, business model canvas, and it'll be your name, revenue analysis worksheet. So there should be 3 uploads per student. All right. And that, that's about maybe a half a page or a page. Statement of collaboration, right? Briefly indicate the role of each collaborating partner in assisting the enterprise to prototype and test. Now, or for growth, that should have been taken out. That's a typo. And so in the business model canvas, you're going to see a section that says key partners. It's the same thing. So your key partner section of your business model canvas should align with this section of statement of collaboration. Who are you partnering with, and what role do they bring to the table that will help you prototype and test your venture? Okay, so I need you to think this through. Social enterprise venture concept. In this section, I want you to fully explain the idea of the venture. Explain the purpose of the venture. Explain how the venture aligns with the mission of the organization or the purpose of the organization. You can pull a lot of the information out of your business model canvas. So for example, if your venture is to, I always use a cookie analogy because it's easy for me. So if your venture is to bake gourmet cookies, and you are going to rent a commercial kitchen at Elijah's Promise here in New Brunswick, then I'm going to allow you to rent a commercial kitchen. And the idea here is that you're going to identify 1 or 2 persons from the population that's being impacted by the particular social issue. You're going to teach them how to bake cookies. So what does that look like in your mind's eye? Like, you're just going to bring 2 people in and teach them how to bake cookies, or are you going to bring 2 people in, introduce them to the concepts of, time management, getting up early, hygiene, effective communication, the soft skill stuff that they need to understand in order for them to be viable employees of the enterprise. And that may take a few weeks of teaching and learning and application. And then starts your curriculum of teaching them how to bake. And what might that look like? Well, week 1 would be ingredients, how to identify the different types of flours and the different types of sugars and the different types of raisins and the different types of nuts, and how do those sugars and nuts and raisins combined chemically impact each other so that the flavor comes out when you bake. How do you dough how do you knead the dough? How do you prepare it? How do you, all the steps that they need to understand so that they can know how to bake these gourmet cookies, right? And then how do you plan to sell the cookies, right? Do you plan to go to door to door? Do you plan to sell it to a small scale number of organizations or corporations? Are you going to sell it online? Like, how are you going to do this? Okay. Then the description of the business, product, or service. Describe in detail the product or service that will be brought to market. So let's stick with the cookies. So what kind of cookies are you bringing to market? How do you know that the cookies are needed in the market? How do you know there's a demand for those types of cookies? Describe the strength of the industry and the venture's competitors. How strong is the cookie baking industry in the greater New Brunswick area? Who might be your competitors? And your competitors, you can't say there are no competitors, because there's always competitors. There's the name brand cookies at Walmart, at ShopRite, or Stop and Shop. Or 7-Eleven. There's Elijah's Promise, which is a cookie competitor. There's Girl Scout cookies that are cookie competitors. So what separates your cookies from them? And who are your competitors, right? Social opportunity recognized. Why is a social issue that has been identified, how has that issue become the catalyst for the idea creation of the social enterprise? So let's say, I don't know, let's say your social issue is substance abuse prevention, and you're dealing with individuals that are ravaged by the disease of addiction. And so you're saying, you know what? The way that I want to address this issue, there is no funding through government sources that will allow me to really implement this approach in removing those individuals or helping those individuals get out of the negative impact of being active addicts, right? Let's just assume that. And it's because there is no funding, or there's no the potential funding to support that in the way that you want to implement your project. That was the reason why you came up with this cookie idea, or whatever idea you came up with. And so you're saying, okay, one of the issues here is, okay, I got to get these folks, first I got to get them clean. They got to stay clean for 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 18 months, and hopefully they can stay clean for multiple years at a time. So I got to figure out, I don't necessarily have to keep them clean. They have to go to, Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever self-help group there is, or outpatient program. And if they stay clean for let's put a minimum date of like 90 days. If they're able to stay clean for 90 days, then you bring them in. Then you'll bring them in, and then you'll teach them the soft skills that they need to be employable, and whatever those soft skills are. And then from that pool of 10 or 15 individuals, you're going to identify 2 or 3 that you think have the potential to come on, want to learn how to bake, and teach them how to bake cookies. And then the selling of those cookies will then allow you to provide them with a stipend until you can break even and give them a fair hourly wage. So that is the social issue of substance abuse prevention is the catalyst for the creation of this enterprise, right? Why does the organization think that addressing the identified social issue through revenue generating vehicle will support the organization's ability to creatively define, to creatively and innovatively reduce the impact of the identified social issue? So from the very beginning of the semester, creativity means coming up with an original idea, right? So how does the organization think that addressing the identified social issue through revenue generating vehicle will support the organization's ability to creatively and innovatively reduce the impact of the identified social issue? So the creativity is the social enterprise. That's the social issue over there, and you're coming up with this new way of doing something. And innovatively is the implementation of that social enterprise that allows you to generate revenue and then provide additional services to those individuals that are suffering from the disease of addiction. Okay. Business goals, the business SMART goals. The business SMART goals are the same SMART goals. It's the same setup that you use for the first writing assignment SMART goals, right? They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. If you need a refresher about the SMART goals, go back to the first writing assignment under that section on the SMART goals and reread that section. Now, I'm only asking for maybe 1 or 2 SMART goals, right? And so a business SMART goal might be, we'd like to sell $5,000 worth of cookies within the first 2 quarters of 2025. That's a SMART goal. We'd like to hire from our targeted population. We'd like to train and educate 15 individuals to become employable and hire 2 individuals from that pool of 15 to teach them how to be gourmet cookie bakers by the end of 2024. So those are 2 SMART goals that you can kind of use as a guide. Defining the market. You're going to have to figure out who make up the enterprise's customers. Who are they? Because they can't be those individuals that are suffering from the disease of addiction, or those individuals that are negatively impacted by human trafficking, or those individuals that are dealing with societal issues of not feeling who they are, the impact of the beauty standards in America. It can't be those people. It has to be a paying market. So who might be that market? Who might be those folks, right? They would have to be individuals that are upper middle income or upper income. They may be men, women, they may be, they may be educated, they may be other entrepreneurs, there may be corporations, they may be other institutions of higher learning, they may be hospitals. Who exactly are these customers? And how do you identify the customers? Like, how do you figure out how you're going to prototype and test this venture to sell whatever product or service you want to sell to a paying market? How do you think you need to identify those customers? And we can think that through for those students that want to have like a 15, 20-minute conversation with me about how to make that happen. Describe in detail the willingness of customers to pay for the service or product that's being brought to market. So that this talks about the value proposition that you're going to be asked about in the business model, in the business model canvas, right? So what is it that you're bringing to them that they are willing to pay for? What is the value proposition to Eddie that says, oh, you know what? I think I want to buy those cookies as opposed to, I think I want to be a regular returning customer. And I think I want to participate in their monthly subscription of, you know, a pack of cookies or quarterly subscription of quarterly cookies and baked goods. And, you know, how do you plan to deliver that to me? Right. And so that is the willingness of the customer to be willing to pay. How do you know there's a paying market? It's a manner that the organization addressing a social issue via revenue generating model resonates with the capital market, right? So do you think that the way you're going to address the social issue through the social enterprise resonates with the capital market? So you know, am I a one-off in buying just one pack of cookies, or am I a continuous returning customer to your gourmet cookies? And how do you know that that's going to resonate with the capital market? So you're going to have to do some research here about gourmet cookies or whatever social enterprise you think you want to generate, you want to implement, right? And then organization and management team. Who might be the key management personnel? What are the relevant skill sets that you're going to need in order to operate the enterprise? Now, mind you, you know, when you're first starting an enterprise, no one really gets paid, right? Because the revenues that you're generating get plowed back into the enterprise so you can scale. And so these management personnel in the beginning, as you're prototyping and testing, are going to be volunteers. And so what are the skill sets that you think that you're going to need in order to prototype and test your venture, to see if it resonates with the market, to see if the branding is correct, to see if the ability to market the venture makes sense to a population of folks that don't even know that what you're selling is something that they value, and because they value it, they'll pay for it. And then the operation plan, describe in detail the design of the social enterprise venture, right? How does the enterprise plan to prototype and test the venture to assure that it resonates with the capital market? And using the 5 conditions for innovation, which I'm going to lecture on Thursday, Unleashing Breakthrough Innovation. It's a reading that's found in the modules. Demonstrate how the enterprise implements those conditions. So that's your second assignment. That's your second assignment. Now, this is the business model canvas. Let me see if I can. All right. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes. And this business model canvas is what the logic model is to the first assignment, to the social issue. So there are 9 areas that you're going to have to complete. Now, I don't need a dissertation for each of these sections. I just need you to answer the questions that are being posed to you for each box. It can be maybe 2 or 3 bullets per box. So you're going to have to identify who your key partners are. What are your key activities? So the key activities aligns with the section of the second assignment that focuses on the social venture concepts and the description of business product and services, and also the operation plans, right? Key resources. So if you have key partners and you have key activities, what are the key resources that you're going to need to launch your venture? So you're going to have to purchase, depending on what your idea is for the venture, you may have to purchase, let's stick with the cookies. You're going to have to rent a commercial kitchen. You're going to have to maybe get some space to educate the individuals about employment soft skills. You may have to purchase ingredients to make the cookies and whatever baking supplies you need, right? And then the value proposition is, what is the value you deliver to your customer? What is it why is Eddie gonna buy your cookies on a regular, not just a one-off? I mean, you can get me on a one-off, but you want to acquire and retain me. Which of your customers' problems are you helping to solve, right? And so, what is, so there's always a reason why Eddie's gonna buy your cookies, right? Because you're solving a problem. Eddie's a cookie fiend. And so, if you can get me to participate in a quarterly subscriptions of cookies and I get a package every quarter, then, and I'm willing to pay what that fee is, and then you're able to get those cookies to me in a cost-effective manner, then you're solving a problem that Eddie has, that he likes cookies and he likes gourmet cookies. And by the way, he likes nonprofits and he thinks, he knows that you're doing good with that money, so he's going to support you. Customer relations. What relationships does each customer segment expect you to establish and monitor? So customer relationships are not just the customers that are going to purchase your cookies. It's also those individuals or those businesses that are your key partners, because they're your customers too. You have to build those relationships with those key partners, with those suppliers, with and with me, the paying market. And then the channels. What are the ways that you're going to reach your market and make sure that they get the value proposition that you say they need and that they say they need? Customer segments. From who are you creating value? Who are the people that you're creating value, right? Like, who are they? So that's this section here, customer segment, aligns with the defining the market part, right? And so when I read your second assignment and I get to the business model canvas and I get to customer segments, I'm gonna go to your defining the market to make sure that it resonates there. The cost structure. The cost structure is actually, how much money do you need to make this happen? You have to be realistic, right? Most social enterprise start out they bootstrap it, so it's anywhere between $500 and $1,000. And so how are you going to use that money to start your venture, right? Like, it's your cost structure or your budget, which is going to be detailed in here, should not exceed more than $10,000. And then the revenue streams. How are the customers going to reward you, right? So they're going to pay for the product or service that you're going to sell to them. And is it a monthly subscription? Is it a quarterly subscription? Is it a gold package, silver package, bronze package? Like, what exactly are you selling? This second assignment is going to be a little harder than the first assignment, because the first assignment was a straight up idea. It was, a lot of it was nebulous, which was fine. But this one, I'm asking you to now really think about, if I want to start a business, a social enterprise, what exactly are my revenue streams? And this revenue stream needs to align with the revenue analysis that I am going to talk about right now. Hold on, let me share my screen here. Share. So this is the revenue analysis. It's an Excel spreadsheet, right? And this is really going to speak about your revenue streams. And all I am asking you is to do research. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impact investors that we talked about over the semester that may be willing to support your venture. I don't need to know that they're actually going to support it, but you're going to have to do some research to see what foundations, what government institutions, either from the federal, the state, the county, or local government, would be willing to provide seed capital for your venture. So this is part of your revenue analysis. So let's say you would say, I don't know, New Jersey Department of State Office of Faith-Based Initiatives, total possible revenue, let's say it's $10,000. And as you input this, it does the work for you. The spreadsheet does the work for you. Likelihood of reception, let's say it's 100%, right? And so it said, okay, best case scenario, you get $10,000. Moderate case, you get $7,500. Worst case, you get $5,000. And then let's say you're going to identify a foundation, right? So name the foundation. Name the foundation. You're going to have to indicate in the second assignment who are these folks, especially in the business model canvas. Like who are these organizations? Name the foundation. You have to do some research to figure out how much seed capital the foundation provides for social enterprise ventures or to support. So you gotta think outside the box a little bit, right? So when you're talking about name the foundation, they may not support enterprises for gourmet cookie baking, but they will support enterprises for workforce development. Workforce development is a phrase that means employment readiness, right? So let's say that you're able to get a foundation or identify a foundation that supports workforce development, and they'll fund you at $5,000. So you put that dollar amount in there. Oh, wait, 5,000. And then the likelihood of getting that is, say, 75%. And so I need you to then identify 3 more foundations. And in the notes section for the foundation, I want you to insert the URL. I have so, right? So that I can do the research and go back and say, okay, they're not just making this up. They actually did some research. And then based on all these numbers that are tallied in the bottom, hold on, let me share this. Your cost structure, I mean, your revenue streams are identified here from the revenue analysis. So the revenue streams and the revenue analysis have to align, right? And it also has to align with the section of the social enterprise concept, because in that concept, I want to know, well, who's going to fund you? Why would they fund you? What's the possibility of getting funded? So, and it has to align with the business model canvas. All right. So that's about 5 to 8 pages right there. It's due April 11th. I'm going to post this on Canvas along with the business model canvas Prezi that I did. And then in class, I am going to go over the Unleashing Breakthrough Innovation through a Prezi presentation. So that's the second assignment, and I'll see everybody in class on Thursday.